All right. We are live with a new episode of the Inner Circle podcast. It's been a while. It has been a while. Um, Definitely been super busy. There's a reason why we haven't been around lately, but I'm so appreciative of all the shows on the network holding us down. Big shout out to Anchorman and the Multiverse Show. These guys do an excellent job of talking about the current events and entertainment and multi-plat games, which is great. The Iron Lord podcast team, which has really come on and has really been putting up some amazing content. And having some really great guests on the show. So big shout out to them, as well as 2XP that has been coming in. Now, 2XP is going through some changes currently. I want to give a big shout out to Nicodemus X, who will be stepping down and away from Tick for whatever his reasons are. We are grateful for the time that he spent with us, the help and work that he's done for us, and he will be missed. As well as Mama Sita, who has been with the team for a pretty long time, and we've been in communications and doing a lot of things. But obviously, life comes in the way of some things when it comes to the little side projects that you want to do and promotions and work. That those things are real. Those things happen. So she's had to probably take a step back to adjust to her new life and new position and the things that she's doing. So big shout out to Nicodemus X and Mama Cedar from the 2XP crew as Fame and that squad get ready to recruit some new members. So those of you out there who are interested in possibly maybe trying out to be on the Xbox versus PlayStation debate show, make sure you hit up Fame Entertainment on Twitter or Facebook. Guys, what have you been playing lately, man? I've been super busy. Obviously, if you don't know what I've been doing lately, I've been revamping the website. We have a new site that's going to be being pushed soon. It is live, but currently we are waiting for a few things to happen before we completely push it. And you will hear that in the coming days. So that's one of the reasons why you haven't seen us as well. I'm trying to work on a backlog for the Tick podcast stuff on MP3, iTunes, Google, and everything like that. But I definitely have been playing some games in my spare time. What have you guys been playing lately? What you been up to lately, Anchor?
Right now, I've been trying to do a little more Overwatch. They got the anniversary event as an event like every other month now. So there's always something going on. So picking up some good skins, having a good time. Playing God of War when I get the opportunity. It's actually really funny with God of War over on PlayStation because I played it when it came out, and then I had no urge to play it for like 2 to 3 weeks. And it was just like, oh yeah, I'm mentally done with it. And oddly enough, the game that kept stealing me away was Sea of Thieves. I kept coming back to Sea of Thieves, which is insane to me, especially because I'm told it's a failure that no one plays that trash. That's what I was told, but apparently that's not the case because I'm playing it clearly. And apparently, people on Twitch are playing, or at least watching more Sea of Thieves than God of War. So,
Well, I mean,
at least as of this morning.
Hunger and Deep's about to come out, so there's a fresh batch of content, some new updates happening. Have you been playing that?
I don't. Has the update come out?
Hungering Deep comes out in a couple of days. That's coming on the 29th.
Yeah, yes, I didn't think it was out yet.
No. Although they've actually started doing something really cool to promote the event. I don't know if you played in the last couple of days, Anchor, but the Sharks are they're really, really active. The AI on them has been completely changed. They're erratic. They're attacking in pairs now. It's like something's getting them stirred up. So, yeah.
I noticed that don't fall off my ship.
yeah. Well, exactly. But the Sharks, something's aggravating the Sharks right now. And what I think is actually really cool is the Hungering Deep is obviously just one of 3 content pieces coming up in the next couple of months. But Rare actually has 3 separate teams devoted to producing new content. And each team, the more time they have, they're going to have more time to provide more content. So the next update will be even bigger than the Hungering Deep, and the one after that will be even bigger, and the cycle continues. So I found that pretty cool.
I'm more just mad that you were right. That's the worst part. Like about Hungering Deep.
I know I was, but what was I right about?
Well, because we were talking about what Hungering Deep could be, and I thought it was going to be like a crab monster, and you're like, nah, it's going to be a shark or a whale. And let's go.
Hashtag man. Sam was right.
That's funny. Sam, so what have you been playing?
So I've been playing a lot of State of Decay 2. Obviously, I had got the review copy, got my impressions and the review out a couple of weeks back. Well, about a week back now, actually. I've also, so in addition to that, I'm having a ton of fun with my communities. But I know we're going to talk about State of Decay 2 later, so I'm going to keep that to a brief here. I've also been playing a lot of Rage. Rage is a game that I played a little bit of it back in the day, but I never really got into it. It was more like, okay, couple hours here. This is kind of cool, whatever. Didn't really stick with it for some reason. I'm loving it. It's fantastic. I think it's an incredibly underrated game. id Software did a phenomenal job. It holds up really well. It looks great on my Xbox One X. I know that helps with the texture filtering and all that because they improve any game that runs on it, but it handles really well. It's a buttery smooth 60 frames per second. If you like Mad Max or Fallout, you got all these like wasteland cars with spiked tires. You can run guys over. It's crazy. Lots of cool weapons, like these 3-bladed boomerangs you can throw and decapitate people. It's pretty cool. So I'm having a ton of fun with that right now.
Rage is extremely short. I remember playing it back in the day on my Xbox 360, and graphically it was probably one of the most impressive games that I saw back in the day. But nowadays, man, it just, I don't know, it doesn't impress me the way it used to. Rage 2 looks like like Fallout and Doom had a baby. That's what it kind of looks like. So I don't know, man. It doesn't look like my cup of tea this time around. I was really looking forward to and hoping that they would show the Starfield game that people keep talking about, but apparently it's not to be so. We may see something at E3. That's not to say they're not holding that as the big surprise.
Bethesda Game Studios is showing something at E3.
Yeah.
Like, that's just going to happen. Because,
Right.
But this is more like, okay, we're going to throw something out here now. So whenever instead of announcing 2 brand new games at the same time, and like especially if the other games like Elder Scrolls or Starfield, that's going to get the most of the attention. They say, hey, we'll throw Rage 2 out here now, get a little attention going for it, and then when we drop whatever we're working on, and that's all people are going to care about.
Right. Well, I want to start the show started. So I'm going to very, very quickly say I've been playing Conan Exiles. I am in love with the game. I raged the first day because there was a lot of technical issues and things that I did not like, but I did really, really enjoy what's happening right now with the game. It still crashes every once in a while, but it's not as bad as it was when it first launched. And me and my team were really deep into this game. I'm already like level 47 on my way to 50. I mean, we got like a giant base, a castle. We've already done a few boss missions, got some legendary weapons, armor building. It's pretty sick. And we've met some really cool people in the game, made some alliances. So really enjoying it. I want to stream it when I get an opportunity to, maybe sometime this weekend. So we'll see how that pans out. But listen, a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. E3 pre-prediction show. Microsoft's got a 2-hour show, so we're going to touch on that. Miami Street. We definitely got to touch on Miami Street. And then we'll definitely talk about, about State of Decay and whether that falls flat after the expectations from the first game. There's a lot to answer for, we believe, in the second game. So let's go ahead. Let's get the show started. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and support, as always, for the premier podcast for Xbox. And here we go. Welcome to the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox. I'm your host, KRXKL, with Anchorman V.
Hey, everybody.
Direwolf 484.
What's up, people?
And we are your Inner Circle. Big shout out to B Money 101. We probably missed him tonight. It's a late night. Maybe he's working, but we'll try to get him on next week's episode. So listen, man. Microsoft is trying to come out swinging. I really think, again, I've said this before on the show, they don't have much choice when it comes to them trying to put out the right amount of content to show gamers that they are trying to produce big stuff. I've already said multiple times that I felt like a lot of the products that they are putting out now, whether they rated well, whether they were received well, it doesn't matter because of the simple fact that these games are already in production. There's nothing they can do about that. like it's almost like if a game may be bad, but you got to push it out anyway because the game is there. So you try to recoup whatever you can from it, and they're just going to push out the rest of the games. State of Decay just released. You got Crackdown probably coming out later in the year if it doesn't get delayed. And then, of course, there's a plethora of indies. Below is finally supposedly be coming out this year. So there's a lot of things that is happening. So at the end of the day, man, you got to look at it from perspective of what is Microsoft going to be presenting at this E3. They have a 2-hour show, which, in my opinion, is probably the biggest two-hour event that they presented in a very long time. And a lot of people are saying this is do or die. I don't think it's do or die for Microsoft. I think that they need to show something to keep fans on board with their platform. Because the simple problem that you have is right now you have a negative tag to your first-party studios. Ever since you moved on from the 360 era, you've made the changes in this generation. And early on, some things panned out. But so far at the end of the generation, or shall I say the end of what's happening now with the mid-generation going into the next one, things have started to slow down and showing some cracks in the armor. And, your competition is really starting to pick up the pace and really produce some solid content over the next couple of years, and are putting out PR where they're saying, listen, this isn't something that's going to stop. You know what I'm saying? They on their bad boy right now. You know what I'm saying? And the head of Microsoft, the head of Sony is P. Diddy. And he's out there talking about we won't stop. You'll be dropping games left and right. They got a plan up until what? I believe it was 2021. They got their plans locked up in 2021.
They said they're going to support the PlayStation 4 till 2021. Doesn't really give any clue into when they're talking of having PlayStation 5. That just means they're supporting it.
They dropped Gran Turismo 6 on the PlayStation 3 after the PS4 was already out, so.
Right. I mean, I get that, but it's just the point that what you just said is that you secured your fan base and let them know that you will be supporting this platform for the next 4 to 3 years. And that is reassuring to a fan base. And I said this before, Microsoft needed to do something like that a while ago, because you can't sit up here and just continue to think that people are going to go out and buy a platform. Now, the great thing about Microsoft is that they aren't reliant on people buying Xbox. I think that's the problem we have right now with some gamers, where people think because the platform doesn't sell that Microsoft has failed, when in fact they are making billions of dollars from their services and their Xbox Live, Game Pass, whatever it is, whatever they have built, whatever they have structured, they are making money off of it and are highly profitable and are highly successful in that regard. The Xbox One X has sold extremely well, and they are successful there. But obviously, first party is key. Games are key. Games are always going to be number one. And if you don't have people interested in wanting to play your games because they feel that you don't produce good games, that's going to be a huge problem in the future. This is not something that you can just sit on and be relaxed about. You have to be able to get out there and really try to secure and find the right talent around you and start building some studios to really address some of the kinks in the armor that a lot of fans think you have. And I want to talk about that in a minute. But before we really dive deep, E3 pre-prediction show happening right now. So with 2 hours up their sleeve, what do you guys think Microsoft is going to be presenting that's going to make this show worth 2 hours in the first place?
All right, so time allotment distribution.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, about 10 minutes of it is going to be features. Mikey Barr go on stage, say, here's what we're bringing to the table. Like that's something the live team has always delivered. So don't worry about that. I think about 15 minutes of it, though, is going to be about Games Pass. They're going to be detailing some stuff coming to it, big changes. I'm thinking, and a lot of us have been thinking now, that Games Pass is going to be changing to include gold, like inherent to it.
15 minutes on Game Pass, bro? That's a lot of time
Game Pass
for a service.
Nah, it's not just that. You're going to hear publisher announcements. Like, publishers are going to come out and say, we're supporting Game Pass. Like, someone might even say day and date. I'm still thinking Bethesda's going to say, like, hey, our Bethesda games, like Wolfenstein 2, Wolfenstein 1, Doom, all the old games we can't make any more money off of right now in terms of sales, all that stuff is coming to Games Pass. Here it is. And they're all going to come out like at a staggered date or something like that. They're going to have a big moment for it because Game Pass has been making that money for them. People have been actually subscribing to it. They are going to talk about it. But then after that, you got about an hour and a half left. Well, a little less than an hour and a half left. And I'm feeling like maybe 45 minutes of just third-party stuff and deals. And the other part is exclusive games with maybe, well, they're going to have quite a few little indie small games. But right now, I'm feeling like there's at least 2 games we don't know about that they're announcing.
Mm-hmm.
One brand new IP that isn't coming out for like 2 to 3 years, and one known IP that's going to be coming back, making a resurgence.
My man said 45 minutes on third party. That's a lot of time.
Yeah,
45 minutes on third party.
But here's the thing. Do you mind if I go next? I'll sort of dive in on what I think they're going to use. That time makes sense because if you're going to have all that time to talk, you got nearly 2 hours. You can only let Mike Ybarra talk about features for so long. Forza Horizon 4 and Ori will be great, but they don't take too much time to show, especially Forza because that's a known quantity at this point. Playground Games always delivers. So, quick trailer, whatever. Show these games. Cyberpunk? Yeah, like I'm generally opposed to ending on a third-party showcase, but I would make an exception for Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is huge. That game is highly anticipated, and if they don't just reveal it, if they show gameplay, like not only here's the reveal trailer
breakdown.
Yeah, like here's a 90-second reveal trailer, the cinematics or whatever, but then here's 6, 7, 8 minutes of gameplay. Here's how Cyberpunk is going to look on the Xbox One X, most powerful console spiel. They've got that going for them. That's a huge win. It really, really is. You add in things like Anthem and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Those will get extensive gameplay demos. I'm actually of the opinion maybe even Shadow of the Tomb Raider is coming to Game Pass. Maybe. I don't know. It could happen. I think of all the third-party games out there, it's the most likely to happen. Game Pass, I agree with Anchor, is going to be a big thing. They're going to push that. I'm not sure that they're replacing Gold, but I tell you this, they're definitely going to have a combined option. They got to. Because they've
already been doing it. They've already been doing it.
Yeah, they kind of have, but a big push. A big push for like, hey, a huge discount. I don't know what the price would be off the top of my head, but, at one great price, you get Xbox Live Gold and you get Game Pass. That'll be what they're going to try to push for people.
What's the current breakdown? Isn't it $10 a month if you buy gold? It's currently set up that way, right?
It's $10 a month, and obviously it's $60 a year, but you can find deals for like 50 or 40, but technically it's 60 for a year. I don't remember what it is for the 3-month period, but it's $10 a month.
Yeah, okay, it's the same price. They may even bump the price up to 15. Like that would justify if people said like it's $15, you get gold and Games Pass. Oh my God! Like it wouldn't matter. Like people wouldn't even be mad about the price hike.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if they can get some of these third parties on board and show some strong support for Game Pass.
I don't think they give a price hike. I think they just give you 2 options. I mean, you can't force people to buy. You can't force people to buy Game Pass. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't do that because people buy Live for multiplayer. I'm telling you right now. If you remove multiplayer from Xbox Live, Microsoft loses a good 75% of people.
Yeah, they would.
That are subscribed.
They would, which is why I don't think they're replacing it so much as they would have an enhanced combined option for people.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't mind that bundle. You have like a platinum option, for like $120 for the year, and that takes care of everything. You get gold, you get Game Pass, you get gold, deals with gold, Xbox Live, yada yada yada, etc. And then you have your regular $60 option, which just covers you for Xbox Live, Game Pass, and the deals. Deals with gold or whatever. I still don't see how that. Listen, Microsoft, they have no choice. They have a lot of time that they have to spend on certain games. They have to be able to present their titles in a sort of presentation that's going to make people excited again. Third party's great. If we talk about third party, we'll probably see Metro Exodus, but Metro Exodus has been delayed to 2019.
Gameplay demo.
Right? So we'll see a gameplay demo of Metro Exodus. We'll see possibly a gameplay demo of Cyberpunk 2077. I won't be surprised to see EA up there. You know what I'm saying? EA and Microsoft or Battlefield 5 will be up there. And then you're right. I can see that being about 40 minutes to 45 minutes worth of time. I get that. Microsoft is going to show at least 10 to 15 minutes of Crackdown gameplay, like multiplayer gameplay.
Whoa.
Like, yes, they
They
have to. They have to. If they want this game to be a success in any shape or form, they have to show at least 10 to 15 minutes of Crackdown.
Doesn't even matter about being a success. You owe it to us to show this game at this point.
The thing is,
I'm especially me too, because I firmly believe like developers don't owe us anything as gamers, but this is one situation where it's like, all right, Microsoft, you've been promising Crackdown for how long now?
Microsoft doesn't have a choice. They have to show Crackdown because Crackdown is going to come out the gate. If they don't show any type of presentation that looks better than what they showed last year graphically, and the gameplay doesn't look as exciting as the demo that we initially saw, that game is going to come out as another game that's not going to do well successful, and they'll be relying on Game Pass to say, hey, Crackdown has over 1 million players again. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly what they don't need to do that.
Right,
they don't. Crackdown 3 needs to be a big event.
That's what I'm saying. But they're going to have to show Crackdown because Crackdown has been out of sight for months and years. We known about this thing since 2015. You're talking about going into 2018 and possibly maybe even be a push to 2019 if we don't get any news on it. So I think Crackdown 3 is a big deal. I think if they have Fable up their sleeve, they really don't have a choice but to show Fable's coming back. Like
I agree.
You got to be able to show if Fable is real. You got to show Fable. You ain't got to show gameplay. You could just put a CGI snippet up there, like the Black Tusk thing that it did back in the day when they were showing Shanghai Heist or whatever, right? Then you have to then turn around and you're going to present, and this is where I think a good portion of the time goes in because they're going to talk about this new studio they have. This new studio that they have, they talked about how you're going to find out more at E3 about the studio that David Gallagher is running, and what is the game that they are working on. You know what I'm saying? Now, if this is a new studio for Fable, that, in my opinion, would be disappointing.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all.
I don't think it is either. But after what happened today,
oh my God!
What happened today? Please fill some of us in.
It's not as big a deal as people think it is.
It's a big deal, and we are going to discuss this because this is a problem. This is a huge problem.
All right, so this actually is an ideal situation right here. Two guys who already disagree, one person doesn't know what's going on.
All right, so as we move forward, you have to show whatever you're going to talk about the studio. You're going to introduce the new head of the studio, and they're going to talk about the new game that they've been working on. Maybe show it off, and that'll probably be maybe they do that at the end because I actually think that will be the big showcase game that they've been keeping under wraps for such a long time. They're going to probably show Gears because I'm hearing news about a new Gears of War in the process. I don't know if we see anything Halo other than a screenshot of Halo 6 in production coming out 2020 or something like that, or 2021 or 2020. Yeah, 2020. You know what I'm saying?
You remember what they did with Halo 5 where it was like this 20-second CGI teaser in 2014? Yeah. Even though the Master Chief Collection was the focus, they were like, hey, Halo 5 Guardians, that's the name, multiplayer beta coming. I feel like that's the likely situation for Halo 6. They announced it's coming with a multiplayer beta, but it's not the focus.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. They'll probably show snippet. They're going to show Gears. You're going to see the new Forza series. But I truly think that you'll see your typical indies here and there. I'm sure they'll have one indie that's going to be like this big exclusive that's really going to be a knockout of the park like they did last year with The Last Night, which in my opinion probably, honestly, if you think about that show last year, was probably the game of the show. Like when you really think about it, The Last Night
was the standout.
That was definitely
all
the
the
thing.
indie games.
Yeah, of all the games, of all the AAA games, indie games, of all the games they showed last year, the thing I was most impressed with was The Last Night, and they don't even own that studio or that game. So they're gonna have something like that. You have your indie showcase, but I think this studio that they're working on, this game that they've been working on, we've been hearing about the big open world action adventure RPG game that people possibly think may be Fable, but I think is actually a real game. That's a strong possibility that may be the big game that they show. And right before that, they should show Cyberpunk and Cyberpunk's gameplay. And I think that would be amazing if they were able to do that. But if they have anything, if they're working on anything, I don't care if they was working on a project a month ago, they got to show it.
Yeah, I definitely. Well, they said that we would learn more about what Daryl Gallagher is doing at E3. Mm-hmm. Now, I try not to get too crazy with my public connect the dots, crazy tinfoil hat theories here. But come on, we learned that they're hiring for a new studio in California, a quote quadruple A studio, because that's the definition that Microsoft uses. They bring Daryl Gallagher on a team composed of studio heads. They say they'll have more to say at E3. It's not difficult to do the math here. 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. I don't think we're going to know exactly what he's working on. We might get like a concept teaser, like 30 seconds.
It makes no sense to bring him out if you don't get a game title.
No, I'm not saying we won't see a game. I think we'll see like a concept of what they're working on.
I think the game is more further along than that. I truly do.
I hope you're right, but I don't think you're right.
I think I'm right.
I hope you are.
Because, the reason why I'm saying that is because of the simple fact that they've had this thing in production before he got there. Like this game has been in production, I think, even probably before last year's E3. And this is a game that Phil has been probably locked up and nobody knew about, for a long time. One of the reasons probably why they canceled Scalebound, which again, there's rumors about Scalebound returning. Could you imagine if the game was Scalebound? How insane would that be?
Oh my gosh!
Just saying.
While we're on the topic of this too, what's the one move Microsoft could do, and not like a series of moves, but one move that Microsoft could do that you think would be a game winner? Like just immediately.
There's a couple of picks. It's tough to say in their situation. I guess something on the scale of, oh, by the way, Splinter Cell is exclusive because we funded it.
I don't think that's big enough. I don't think Splinter Cell is big enough. I don't. Here's my thing. I'll be honest with you. I think Microsoft has put themselves in a position that there is no game that they can announce that will be big enough. What they need to be able to do to make their show impactful is have a series of titles that look amazing. 3 or 4 titles that look like, I want that game. It could be new, it could be reboots, it could be even a remastered game, like a remastered classic in the form of a Spyro or a Conker's Bad Fur, like a Crash Bandicoot, because it's the 25th anniversary of Banjo and Kazooie. Imagine a new Banjo Kazooie with updated controls, a new fresh coat of paint, looking like a next gen title. You got to be able to present something where it's like people have a nostalgia effect and they also have a want effect. And you got to push the X. You got to sort of fade away from the Xbox One without fading away from the Xbox One, because the Xbox One, the X is still an Xbox One. You know what I'm saying? But you got to push all these games like the Xbox One doesn't exist in a way, because you have to be able to try to make the Xbox One X stand out to the point that it makes people want to buy that platform for all of these hot looking games that you're producing. If Microsoft is able to put out enough content where it's like, boom, we got this, boom, we got that, boom, we brought back this, boom, we rebooted and remastered this, it then makes the fans say, oh my God, over the next couple of years, they got X amount of games coming. Not to mention, they got the Cyberpunk marketing deal. So you're going to get possibly a Cyberpunk looking console. You might get a Metro Exodus looking console. Like, there will be a series of things that's going to happen where they're able to set themselves up and really show off what they're doing as a studio, what they're trying to build as a company, and then all the partnerships they have. And then if you can throw, we got Xbox Live Gold and Game Pass and this bundle price for this, or, you got X amount of things that you could do here service-wise, and this is what we're bringing to Xbox in the future when it comes to, the OS and all that stuff like that, then you got something special going on. And then it changes the perception of Xbox. Right now, Microsoft has a perception problem, and the hardcore fans may feel like they don't. And the hardcore fans may be like, okay, listen, Xbox is still doing great. Forget what the people saying. Forget what the reviewers are saying. I like these games. That's all that matters. But perception is reality. Even if the games are good, regardless of what the reviewers say, if word of mouth is telling you that something is bad and the people are telling you that it's bad, then it makes you hesitate to buy whatever that product is, regardless of how good it is. So they have to be able to change that perception. And I think the only way they can do that is to have a series of titles that's impactful, both visually and direction-wise, that kind of gives you that, that sort of future direction of what they're going to be doing over the next couple of months before they even introduce the next platform. So I think that's really important for them to do.
Sam, what are your thoughts? What's one thing Microsoft could do that would make it win E3?
I don't think there is one thing. I
think there is. I thought of two things.
Okay, by all means.
You guys are pathetic. I'm sad.
Whatever you say is not going to be big enough. Go ahead. I'm waiting.
First one is they have. I already forgot his name. The guy we met at E3, Kamaya. Kamaya shows up on stage.
Oh my gosh!
No. The first thing he does, he comes up on stage and apologizes publicly.
That will never happen.
No, I know it will never happen, but this is what would happen. Like, this is what would make it win. It's I'm sorry for all the stuff that's happened. Here's Scalebound coming out this holiday. Our bad.
First of all, no, and I'm just gonna keep it all the way 100. Like, no Japanese man is coming to America to apologize.
I know it won't happen, but that's what I was saying. What would happen? That would be a game winner. People would be like, "What?"
This is why they hate Americans. This type of thinking would never happen in a million years. Like, that's not gonna happen. Throw that out the window, bro. Like, it's gone. Just roll it up. Throw it away.
But if it did happen, would you say that would be a game-winning maneuver?
It would not be, because I need to see what Scalebound looks like. The last time we saw Scalebound, the fake, Dante was running around.
Dude,
at like
it doesn't even matter
second.
What state the game's in at that point.
That's just true.
Because everybody had been hyping up Scalebound for saying, Scalebound was the one game that would have made me buy an Xbox. That was the one game, and it got canceled. Microsoft just killing games left and right.
Bro,
and if it actually came out.
That's the same talk you hear from everybody else, though.
Look who decided to show up.
Batman's in the building, son.
Yeah, I'm here, man. I'm sorry I'm late.
Yo,
it's Memorial Day weekend, so I was out, running around doing things. But
memorializing everything.
Look at Shazam over here trying to ruin the Justice League. Get him out of here. First of all, as I said before, that's not going to happen. Just throw that away. Like, that's just not probable. Even if they did, just say, all right, let's say that did happen. Even if he came on stage and did that, you still would have to be able to show a product that looks reasonably amazing, not even good. It has to look amazing. And Scalebound, for what Microsoft wanted to do, it's not going to be. They would have to scrap so much. You got to get rid of that multiplayer. That multiplayer's got to go. It should have never been in there in the first place. And I think that's one of the reasons why the game got ruined, period. The other thing is, the game wasn't open world. It was a linear experience on sort of like these big open spaces. And that's cool. I don't mind that. But fundamentally, it made the dragon almost seem like a tag-along player, kind of like a weapon. Kind of like when Microsoft added the voice commands to the Kinect for Elder Scrolls Skyrim. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can say the names and the attacks would happen without you pressing the button. And that's kind of like how I think of that dragon. The dragon is a weapon, but he doesn't really feel like a companion. He's not, you're giving commands to him to do certain things, but it never felt natural. So I don't know if Scalebound could come back as much as I want it to come back. I don't know if it can come back and be that impactful. Let me hear your number 2 option.
And the other option is Ted Price goes on stage and says, "We've heard you loud and clear. We've been working behind the scenes. Sunset Overdrive 2 coming out 2019 March."
Why the hell was Sunset Overdrive 2 have that big of an impact for Xbox?
No, because keep in mind the entire time, the big little meta narrative that has been going on has been Microsoft's not supporting their new IPs. Microsoft's not doing this. Like where's Rise 2? Where's Quantum Break 2? Where's all the stuff from this generation? There is no other franchise that's come out. That has been the big narrative that has been happening for so long. If Sunset Overdrive 2, out of all those games, was the most solid game they had. Like, even if you don't like it, it was by far the most solid game they had.
Anchor, man, I don't know what you sipping on over there, man.
I'm drinking screwdrivers, baby.
I don't know what you got over there, man. But
he lit, bro.
You on another level, man.
First of listen, all I gotta say is, you talk about Microsoft don't support it. The fans didn't even buy that game. The fans didn't even support the exclusive. So how the hell?
It was a first-year exclusive. Give it a break.
Bro, they didn't even support the game after it released. The only reason why the game did as well as it did was afterwards they put it on Games with Gold. So mad people got the game. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but what I'm saying is no. Well, I'm not saying it's a bad game. Don't get me wrong. It's a quality title. What I'm saying is that you're talking about something that's going to change the direction in the immediate perception of Xbox.
Oh, I never said that. That was not the question. The question was, what would make Microsoft win E3?
Right. And Sunset Overdrive ain't it, bro.
Sunset Overdrive 2, baby.
Nah, that ain't it. That ain't it. You know, listen, first of all, I've always said this multiple times. The biggest titles Microsoft ever had in the history of Xbox has always been games that came out of BioWare, number one. Besides the original Xbox stuff like the Halos and everything like that. But when you look back at it, the things people remember the most are a good portion of the RPGs and the Western RPGs that they produce. The Jade Empires, the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic series, Ninja Gaiden, Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon. People want those games. Now, if you come out, it's true. It's true, though. Look about how many people turned around and bought Knights of the Old Republic when it re-released. How many people played Ninja Gaiden Black when it got put on backwards compatibility? A lot of people still want those games and clamor for those old games, and people ask for it all the time. I'm not saying that's going to change the perception, but if you're able to produce those titles and show, hey, we're working, like even if they reboot it, could you imagine if Microsoft came out and rebooted Knights of the Old Republic, which is probably one of the greatest games of all time, like at least top 100 of all time? The story of that alone was incredible. So imagine rebooting that in the ilk of what Square is trying to do with Final Fantasy VII. That would be insane. People would lose their minds on a game like that, graphically as impressive as the X is, or even the PS4 Pro is, and you're putting out a game that's going to look super immersive and graphically impressive on the same level as something today, but you still got the classic story of what the old Knights of the Old Republic was. During the Star Wars era, Solo just came out, it's doing pretty decent. You had freaking the last Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi, come out a few years ago. Like, bro, it's the perfect time to do something like that. That's impactful, but I don't think that is going to do anything to change the perception, because people are looking at first party. And that's what they want to know what's happening. What is first party doing with their studios, and how can they fix the rut that they're in? And I think the only thing that they can do is show that whatever David Gallagher's working on, whatever Rare may be working on, whatever they've been commissioning with Capcom or any other project that we've been hearing about, whether it's Perfect Dark, whether it's, you know, a reboot of Conquer, or not Conquer, of Banjo, or some type of kart racing game, whatever these projects are, they need to be first party, they need to be impressive, and they need to show longevity. And if they're able to do that, that will change the perception more than any one game could do. Because a lot of times, a lot of the noise isn't from the Xbox fans. A lot of the noise is from everybody else. And, you know, obviously it's going to be hard to shut those people up. But if you can quiet them, that begins to change. And I think that's what's more important than trying to find one thing or two things that's going to be as impactful to Xbox. B, very quickly, we were talking about E3 prediction, the pre-prediction show before we get into our actual game predictions on the next episode. What do you think Microsoft is going to? What do you think they have set up as far as their show, which is supposed to be 2 hours at this year's E3? Like, if you can kind of like time it out, what do you think they would present?
Well, they talked about this like towards the end of last year that they were kind of like Sony was gonna show like more in-depth game information on some of the games that they announced last year. So I definitely assume that they're gonna do something like that. I think they'll lean heavily on some of the third-party stuff that we've been hearing about. I think a lot of the bigger games like Anthem and then like Cyberpunk will have big blowouts. A lot of that gameplay would be a little bit longer. Just so people can kind of see what it is. So I expect those demos to be anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. So just longer gameplay and stuff like that. And then I think that's when you have to kind of go in that first party bag or the second party bag and see what you have there. Show a couple new things, and then just hit your indie reel and then close the show out with a big game. Last year they went with the third party game with it being Anthem. I would love to see it'd be a big first party game. If it's Fable or something else that they have that have been cooking up, that's going to be that big spark plug to kind of set off the rest of this year and then going into 2019. I think that's something that they definitely need.
Yeah, I think Fable's the right call for that one because
absolutely,
especially because there's been no word on it officially yet. Like if they came out and just like the whole screen turns black and you just start on this gameplay, you don't even announce what the game is till like the last frame of the gameplay segment just says Fable.
Yeah. And they don't even have to show that much. It could be a CGI teaser, I think, for all people care. But the cat's out of the bag that it's happening. Eurogamer's done their investigation and all that. Ex-Linehead employees are talking to people. Just acknowledge, yep, it's coming at some point. It's a big RPG. That gets people hyped.
Yep.
Right. Agreed. All right. So we got that show next week. Make sure you guys tune in to next week's episode Saturday at 10:30 p.m. to hear our E3 predictions with Microsoft's E3 right around the corner. Listen, man, we got to move on. Miami Street. Now, we've been talking about Studio Gobo for a very long time. We looked at what Studio Gobo were making as far as titles. They had worked on F1 series. They worked on Star Wars Infinity. And it was making us believe like maybe they were working on some type of platform game. Based on the history and based on the projects that they had, it seemed like they'd be working on maybe a Conquer or a Banjo or something of one of the mascots from Microsoft. But no, that's not what they were working on. Apparently, Studio Gobo, who is now known as Electric Square, which is the new studio developed by Playground Games, have been working on a Windows 10 device title called Miami Street, which is probably one of the weirdest games I have seen so far. It is a racing game that is completely built on quick time events. This is just asinine for me. It's just very frustrating for me because every time you think Microsoft is going to present something or produce something that seems that it can get them back on track, they produce it for PC. And it really lends credence to them really not, in my opinion, giving the Xbox fan enough respect in what we've been doing for the platform. And I'm not really feeling this. I'm not feeling this, Samuel, at all. So you're going to have to convince me why this game isn't as bad as I'm making it seem.
Oh no, the game is. I'm not feeling the game either. God, wait a minute here. Let's not get anything twisted.
Tell me that straw man.
Yeah, Sam ain't walking out on that ledge, man.
No, you see what he's trying to do, B? He's trying to make, here you go. Take it.
Oh my gosh.
No. However, as weird as this thing is, and boy, is it weird, we know that they've been working on some sort of new Windows 10 device called Project Andromeda, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think very cautiously, I'm going to say that this is sort of like when Turn 10 did Forza 6 Apex. You remember that? It was a little free-to-play Forza game for Windows 10 PCs. This is like a tech demo. This is them figuring out the tech, figuring out UWP, just releasing a little something to keep people occupied. You know, it'll probably be available on, Windows 10 PCs. If Microsoft gets back into the phone market, it'll be available there too, because it uses touch controls and things like that. And then I really think they're working on something else as a proper game. Mm-hmm. I really do, because I simply have trouble believing that this is all a studio could come up with, even a somewhat smaller one like them, after 2 years, nearly 2.5. I have trouble believing that, because I'm not feeling it. I'm with you there. I am not feeling this game at all. This screams mobile free to play with good graphics, but mobile free to play all the same. Mm-hmm. So I think this is them getting a handle on UWP, and we'll see a proper game from them next year.
Right.
You know what it could have been? Would have been a way better title for them too.
What's that?
Fusion Frenzy.
Jesus.
It would have
He's
fit
not
their
wrong.
talents more.
Yo, as soon as we get this LLC done, you get suspended the first day that's approved. Anyway, so listen, it's Miami Street, man. I don't know, bro. I just feel like Microsoft, I get it. It's a free-to-play title. Sam's theory on them experimenting on the project as a way to experiment with UWP, that's cool, man. I don't know. I just feel like Microsoft could have took that and invested in an indie title. They could have invested in a reboot of one of their mascot titles, a remaster or something like that. I'm not sure if that was the way to go. I'm going to keep it straight up. Like, I don't honestly know how many people are buying games through the Windows Store. All I ever hear and see from PC guys is that it is a mess. They don't like buying titles out of there, and really, it just can't compete. People really want them to stop buying stuff, putting products on the Windows Store, and put products on Steam instead, which is obviously the king of PC gaming. I don't think that them trying to capture the PC crowd is going to work at the rate that they're doing it, because they're not producing enough quality content for that PC crowd, and they don't draw enough quality indie studios to the PC crowd. The thing that they do well is that they produce the Xbox games, and those Xbox games are now releasing on PC, so it gets people to want to buy those titles. But at the same time, if you're really trying to compete and really take it to another level, it's not going to work that way. Miami Street does not help. I mean, you should have seen it. I was reading the comment sections, and people were looking at it. This is a quick time event. Like, this is a quick time game, like a racing game where you have to quickly press this button or press down on the mouse to drive forward and release to brake, and and you got to press the button to turn sideways. Like, I don't know what that is. It feels like it was made for Surface, because it's like a touch screen and you hit the tablet and stuff like that. But you can't put that game on Xbox, and people look at those things like it's not the direction that they want to see Xbox going.
Even if it is just like for mobile devices or touch devices, I just don't understand why they went with the racer. You know what I mean? Like, Microsoft already has like enough racers under their belt. Mm-hmm. Just go with something different. Like, you can use that same tech and same philosophy, if you want to make something touch and test out the UWP, but just go with a different genre. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
I don't understand why they chose that.
Right. And I think that's my biggest thing. It's not that I'm trying to crap on the idea of Electric Square creating a game for Windows 10 PC. It's the fact of what they created. They could have produced any game that could have been appealing and maybe one day hit the Xbox. But a game like that will never come to Xbox. It won't appeal to the fans in that way. Even as a free-to-play title, why waste your time on that? You know what I'm saying? So I truly do hope that it is a game that I truly do hope that it is a game that that is mainly for mobile, and it does appeal to the fans out there who love Forza and love all those PC races and want to buy some time, and it's for the phone, it's for tablets and stuff like that, because I just feel like it really was a waste of resources and could have gone to something else. And that's just my personal opinion. So I do hope Studio Gobo, Electric Square have something else that they will present at E3.
Yeah.
Hank, any thoughts?
Should have been Fusion Frenzy. That's it.
What is up with you on Fusion Frenzy? I gotta get this off my chest. What is so fascinating with you about Fusion Frenzy?
It's the first Xbox game I ever cared about.
It's a great game. I
can tell you, like, the first time I played an Xbox was Fusion Frenzy. My cousin, he lived over in Raleigh. I got to meet him for a while, and we were like, okay, it was good. And so he was really big into Star Wars and Knights of the Old Republic. I was like, and so he showed me Fusion Frenzy. I played Fusion Frenzy before I played Mario Party. Like that's how weird that was. So I mean, it was a great game that was a ton of fun to play. It had this like a I want to call it retro modern aesthetic to it, because our concept of modern, at least in terms of design, has changed drastically. So, but it was fun, it was enjoyable, and it was a good time. And so ever since then I've been wanting them to do it. I make another one, and they've been teasing it, which is annoying. They would tweet out things like, "Which character would you want to be in a?" What would you want to play as? Like a whole lineup of like 10 people.
What they need to do is reboot Fusion Frenzy with all the Xbox mascots and make it basically some type of Mario Party game. That's what they need to do. I love Mario Party to this day. It's one of my favorite games that has come out of Nintendo. And I think Microsoft needs a party game. They definitely need something that you can just have endless fun playing at parties or playing online with your buddies just to pass the time. A half hour here, an hour there, just doing a bunch of little mini games on some type of giant board, and whoever gets to the most points at the end wins as champion for the night. And you can do that. It'd be cool to play with some of these mascots, Banjo Conquer, little Chibi Master Chief, little Chibi Marcus Phoenix, other guys, Ori. You go on and on and on about who you could add in the game. I think it'd be really cool if they did that, instead of kind of keeping it traditional with like little made up characters or stuff like that or whatever. But I'm with you, man. I like Fusion Frenzy. I play with my son. He has it on Game Pass, and we have a blast when we do play. They definitely need to figure out a way to bring that back. But you got to stop talking about Fusion Frenzy. Like Fusion Frenzy on the podcast, like every episode. Out of control.
As Michael Caine said, never.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, so listen, we're going to move on from the Miami Street situation, and I wish Microsoft much success with whatever they produce. Obviously, more success leads to more titles for us Xbox fans, and hopefully that game does something for them and whatever they plan to do going forward. State of Decay 2 recently released. Microsoft just announced that it had they say it's a record breaking, but my understanding is that it didn't break any record at all. It just had 1 million people in like the first 2 days or the first 48 hours or something like that. And that's not 1 million sales, just 1 million people playing, which obviously is partially probably due to Game Pass and maybe a few people that bought it. Didn't review very well, mainly not because the game isn't a good game, but because it has a lot of bugs. I've seen some pretty poor scores, some scores that even said that it was broken. I mean, that score should have meant that it was broken. I haven't played the game yet. I've been too into Conan to even attempt to go anywhere else currently. Sam, I know if you played the game, I know you reviewed the game. What is State of Decay's biggest issue currently, and does the game have longevity going forward?
Okay, so really quickly, the biggest issue it has right now is the bugs, which I've publicly admitted. When I wrote my review, I was lucky, evidently. That's just all there is to it. I'll own up to it and say I wrote honestly, but the fact is I did not experience some of these horrible bugs and glitches and party connection problems that other people have experienced, that I've seen online, seen people talk about. So that's the big issue by far. It needed more polish. Even if I'm not going to get into the whole AAA or non-AAA debate right now because that'll just bog down the conversation. But the reality is they needed some people from Microsoft Studios to come in and polish this thing up. That's undeniable, because even if I got lucky, the fact is I still had some performance problems, and other people have had it way worse. They should have delayed it a couple of weeks, month, whatever, polished it up. I don't think it would have reviewed as badly. I think that would have taken care of at least some of the problems right there. I think it has longevity if they get these issues patched ASAP, if they show people that they care about them, maybe get some dedicated servers in there, because last time I checked, Microsoft still has a few spare dedicated servers that I'm aware of called Azure, and they start rolling out some additional DLC, some free, some paid packs, things like that, then I think it'll do great, especially, again, because it's on Game Pass. The first one found a good, strong cult following. I don't see any reason this one can't either, because it's a great game. The gameplay systems are fantastic. They're phenomenal the way they interact if you're into sim type stuff or light RPG elements. But they just need to address these issues really quickly.
Do you think it can be done?
Yeah, I do. I think it can.
I don't know, man. I feel like Microsoft has a quality control issue.
I said this not last year, but maybe the year before, when they were putting out all these games, with the Quantum Breaks, the Recores, things like that, all the second party stuff. I've said this from the beginning. Microsoft's quality control this gen has been horrible.
Yeah, at least on second party, I agree.
They need to, before these games release or they start really promoting them, they should have a team sit down and play them. If it's not enjoyable, then delay the game until it is. You know what I mean? I don't understand how you release State of Decay 2 with all those bugs in it like that.
Right. Especially after the success of the first game, it was so well received and it broke records when it first launched, even if the review scores wasn't that high. And I'm not trying to say that reviews are everything, because even games that get great review scores sometimes don't sell, and games that get poor review scores sell extremely well. State of Decay 1 was I don't think it was a 70 or 78 overall, something like that. And yet that thing sold 5 million in a month. It was an insane amount that it sold when it first launched. And people were expecting the MMO. We didn't get the MMO, but we got some type of 4-player co-op, and people griped about that as well. But I'm with B, man. I just feel like if you have a game and you're playing the title and you have this amount of bugs in the game that some people feel like it's almost unplayable or it shouldn't be, especially with the bad streak that you've been having lately, you might as well just delay the game. Just delay it.
Yep.
You just, in my opinion, you pull a Sony and you delay everything. You just delay everything until everything works, and then you just drop game after game after game after game throughout the entire year. And the quality, because if you think about if the bugs in that game aren't as bad as it is, the reviewers don't shun it as bad as they do. You know what I'm saying?
I will interject one thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, if you don't mind, is that there were some issues that people talked about in their reviews that were patched before the game came out. Okay. There was a big patch that fixed some things like the raining zombies bug or some vehicle issues, not all of them, but some of them, and people still talked about them. And I feel like, okay, I know you're writing your reviews in advance, but if they fixed it before the game came out, then they did fix it. I don't know. That's a small thing that's been really irking me. Right. But regardless.
Anchor, have you played State of Decay?
Nope. I said I wasn't going to play trash. I told everybody, last year was my okay, I'll play any game that comes out. I'll see how it is. And I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that this year. Any game I don't have a good vibe about, I'm not playing. Same with Detroit. Not playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, man, I can't say nothing much. I love the Undead Labs team. They're very friendly people. Anytime I've met them from PAX to E3, they had built a great relationship with our Iron Lord podcast team when they went to PAX East this year, and we had planned to do an interview with them. I had reached out to Microsoft and things were underway, but then they decided to wait to after the game released. So I will definitely still reach out to them. I try to set that up because I know you guys like when we do these interviews with the developers and things like that. And I would love to pick their brains on what they wanted out of the game and what they can do to try to fix it. So we'll definitely continue to pursue that. But I just feel like Microsoft has some type of quality control issue lately. And I almost feel like Phil just kind of wants to get these games out and just get it over with so he can start putting out the things that he's been, co-signing. Whatever they've been working on and stuff like that, whatever they can try to produce. He probably just wants to get these games out of the way. You know, put out State of Decay, put out Crackdown. Let's go on to, let me show you what I got coming out in 2019 that's going to turn this ship around. A lot of people don't give Phil enough credit. I don't think Phil has done a bad job at all. I think Phil has done a really good job in that he's put Xbox in a position where they could be self-sustaining and not reliant on Windows and Xbox. And I remember a tweet. There was a tweet that came out a couple weeks ago, actually. It wasn't a couple days ago, but about a week ago, where a developer from Microsoft came out and said, we no longer have to go through Windows to get things done, basically. Like, in order to get things done for Xbox, you had to go through Windows before you could even get the boss. So you have to go through the Windows boss before you can get to the head boss to try to get things approved. And with that person out of the way, if Phil at the seat, you can pretty much get a lot of things done now with him as a VP and having Satya's ear. They've really changed the way they've built the Xbox and the Microsoft as a whole. Instead of it just being some sort of side project for them to get Windows into people's homes and sell devices, they've completely made it an actual division within the company and a big important chunk of the company as well. So it's very important now to them compared to what it was back then. And that's why I always say Sony and Xbox is different. Like PlayStation and Xbox is different. Sony is always reliant on PlayStation, especially more than ever now after everything that they've done. They still have a few other businesses here, but they cut out a lot of stuff. You know, you still got Sony Music, you still got Sony's production studio for movies. They still have their real estate. I think they still have insurance, and they still have PlayStation. But there was a lot of other things they got rid of. So I just feel like Microsoft is now finally putting the Xbox at the forefront and really are in a position to build the platform they want to build. I think the checkbook opens up going forward, and we'll see what they show at E3. But you know, listen, I just feel like if they can, if they can get past this point, because I really wasn't expecting for the games that they produced to be received and be have the issues that they had early on. Unfortunately, these things happen. I'm not Nostradamus. I can't predict the future, but if they can get past this, if they can get Crackdown out the way, and they can show what they have out there for the future, and it looks pretty good based on what I've been hearing, then they can really right the ship. But they have a long way to go. And listen, I know some Xbox fans might not like what I'm saying. I get that often. People are like, why are you an Xbox show? All you're going to do is trash Xbox. I'm not trying to trash Xbox, man. We don't try to trash Xbox. We just try to keep it real. We try to keep it 100. And it may not be something you want to hear, but it's just the truth. And it has nothing to do with reviews. It has nothing to do with, PlayStation or Nintendo or what they're doing. We don't judge Xbox on what any other platform is doing. We judge Xbox on what they're doing as a whole and what they've been producing. And as of late, the quality control has not been where it needs to be. And it's not that they can't fix it, but they need to fix it quickly, and they need to present something at this year E3 that's really going to make people remember why Xbox was considered the concave beast back in the day with the 360. So hopefully we see some really good things coming up at this E3. Very quickly, man, a few things got pushed and a few things I want to discuss. Let me bring it up. Where's it at? Okay, so listen, Metro Exodus got pushed out of 2018 into 2019.
Good.
Do you guys?
What is this? Why is that a good thing?
Well, if it wasn't going to come out by August,
the big thing too is don't get me wrong, I love Metro. When that, like, for people who were watching the live stream whenever that thing was announced, I was geeking out hard. Mm-hmm. Me and Demi were freaking out. We were like, yes, finally. And I love Last Light and 2033. But I will say that game is not a fall game. That game needs to be in the spring.
Metro.
And the fact they pushed it into 2019 is good.
I feel like
it needs its own space to thrive.
I feel like Metro was taking a step into the big dog space with this game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're really trying to take it to the next level with Exodus. Like all their other games were cool. They kind of reminded me of like AA titles. Graphically, they may have been impressive, but I always felt like they were AA titles. But this one seems like it's really taking a whole other step above everything else. So we'll see.
It's one of the best single player first person shooters you could play. Right, as a linear game, it is excellent. It's one of the best. That definitely worth a playthrough.
B, were you going to say something about it getting delayed?
Well, I was just going to ask if you guys think THQ Nordic is having a production problem.
Well, they did just go through a big acquisition, right? A big merger with Deep Silver and all. I mean, it's basically THQ reborn, which is wonderful. But that's definitely going to result in some marketing issues, some pipeline issues, I think, in terms of getting these people's papers in queue with these people's papers, making sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. I think it's probably just a side effect of the merger and the fact that they know even if they're a bigger publisher than they used to be, they can't hang with Call of Duty. They certainly can't hang with Red Dead, or Battlefield or whatever Bethesda's got cooking up. So it's like, okay, let's just push everything out. We got all, spring next year, maybe even summer to push these games out.
Now, if I recall correctly, and this may be outdated, but what was THQ Nordic was just a holding company called as Nordic. And when THQ went under, they basically sat on a ton of IPs not doing anything. They've been waiting for this merger and all this stuff for a long time. And now they also own Darksiders. And so Darksiders also got pushed back too. At least I think so. I haven't heard about it.
Not officially.
I don't think they officially announced that Darksiders.
No, not officially. No, it probably will be though.
I'm pretty certain.
I mean, Metro has, Shenmue has. It was funny. Every single minute, it seemed like I was refreshing our website, and it seemed like another thing was getting delayed. I was actually waiting on Darksiders to be announced that it was getting delayed because everything else was delayed.
Gotcha. The Microsoft has worked on a very inclusive controller with the accessible controller. A lot of people had jokes about it, which I don't find anything funny about it. I think it's very awesome that they thought of people who are either handicapped or have some muscular dystrophy issues, or people who are missing limbs from whether it's health issues or in the military and things like that. This controller seems to be very impressive. I think it's going to sell like hotcakes. It is really going to put the brand in a good light when it comes to gamers, people who always want to play games but just couldn't because they couldn't use the regular controller.
Yeah, it's extremely important what they're doing there. I'm really glad they've taken the lead. And they've also made it clear that if PlayStation and Nintendo want to copy them, that they're freely sharing the tech. If they want to get in on it, that they're happy to cooperate with them on any of that. So that's really good.
Microsoft CEO name should be Kumbaya. Absolutely. Rage 2 is coming out. We touched on this earlier. I played Rage back in the day on the 360. I thought it was a solid game, graphically really impressive. That was back when it was like done by ID and that crew.
That was the best looking Bethesda game back in the day.
It really was. It was super impressive.
It was.
This game, it's like Doom and Fallout had a baby. I said that earlier. I don't know if I'm really going to be into this one as much, but I do like it. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of Mad Max, a little bit of Doom.
It's literally the same studio. It's literally the same studio who did Mad Max.
But the game, that's the best part. That's the thing, though. The original game had the same aspects. You can get into a Doom buggy, you can upgrade it, you would get into battles with the bandits out there in the driving around. They would chase you down, you would go to different places and locations, and they would only follow you so far before you get to a safe zone. That's a cool concept, man. I don't know how they're making the game, if it's like a giant open world type platform or it's like a linear location based platform.
They've already said it's open. Drive anywhere, shoot anything is their motto.
It's open world.
Which I mean, look. Mad Max was an extremely underrated game. So Avalanche Studios taking the lead on this with a little bit of polish and a stamp of approval from id Software. Yep.
I hate to say this. I'm just so tired of playing open world games. I just feel like everything's open world now.
But you just said you wanted Scalebound to be an open world game.
I did not say that. I said that.
Yes, you did. Let the record show.
That's not what I said. I said Scalebound isn't an open world game. I said that it's a linear title, but they had like these open platforms to fight on. I didn't say it was an open world game, or I wanted it to be.
You wanted to be an open world game.
I don't want Scalebound to be an open world game unless it had 4-player co-op. And I don't.
You said it looks like it's a linear game. It should be open world.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to rewind that back because I remember saying that.
Replay the tapes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get back on those tapes to talk about this next episode. Okay, and finishing up.
But you ain't even gonna let me talk about Rage? No. I am the resident Bethesda man. You can't just rush over that and say nah.
Go ahead. Say what are you gonna say about Rage, Anchor?
All right, I hope that game comes out next year because. With Rage, like I didn't get a chance to play Rage 1 when it came out. I'm about to pick up and start playing it again. Mm-hmm. So I already have it, and I'm just going to play it for the first time and just kind of get a taste of what it was. Mm-hmm. I mean, Avalanche doing it, I'm already sold. Like I'm going to buy the game. That's just going to happen. I think the way you said it there is pretty much my summed up thoughts on it too. It looks like Fallout and Doom had a baby, and it was raised by Mad Max. Like it is ready to roll, and I am definitely sold on the game. I want to play it. But the thing is, though, I don't feel like it's ready for a fall release. At least not yet.
They announced that it's coming out in 2019.
I was about to say,
I hope they don't change anything and they're not trying to freak people out especially because whatever Bethesda Game Studios is working on, like that's got to come out this year, according to the schedule. But I mean, I don't want to see them throw that game out to die just to meet a deadline.
It's for you. It's coming.
I don't know what he just said.
Yeah, he's cutting out for me. I can't hear anything.
Definitely disappeared on us.
He's got news for me. He's got news.
More and more, like early 2019 is getting a little packed already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think if you just look at some of the stuff that got pushed back with Rage being announced, and then we know Anthem's coming early next year. Mm-hmm. Division probably be early next year. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of big tentpole games that are coming out early next year, so you definitely gonna have to try to map it out and see where you can get in, where you can fit in, because it's tough to get noticed among some of the big heavy hitters.
Anthem, I would say, is one of the few open world games I look forward to next year. Definitely look forward to Anthem. That's like one of my my top 3 most anticipated title for next year. I'm going to be on that game so religiously. It's going to be insane. All right. And
yeah. And the other thing I was going to say, I really wish that because this is also another post-apocalyptic game, and I still hold hope that eventually they're going to have vehicles in Fallout. That they do something unique with it and make this have a stronger online component. I really hope there is one. Not just co-op, but I'm talking maybe there's a zone where you go outside of co-op and
oh snap,
you run into total chaos.
Go ahead and say it. Go ahead. And say
Battle Royale.
Exactly. I knew it. Just win that game, bro. That's gonna
it could be Battle Royale, but just imagine you're playing an area there's an area called a wasteland zone or something like that, just a big open driving area, and you're just trying to get from point A to point B. You're just people are out there on war rigs just blowing each other up, going crazy, and you're I'm just trying to finish the mission. Just let me get over here, please.
Hey, what's that meme that Trump be doing? No. No.
Oh God.
Leave that alone. Let that go, bro. That ain't gonna
But
happen.
Bethesda needs their
some
online
co-op
side.
though. I hope that.
Yeah,
It feels
I'm
like
pretty
it feels like
certain.
it's built for co-op.
Yeah,
It really does. Plus, I mean, because look at the design; it's got a little bit of that Borderlands going for it. You know, just a
that's
little
what I
bit.
said too.
Dude, how funny would it be if Borderlands actually did come out like spring 2019, like right next to it?
And then get
that's what I
stomped
said.
in.
All right, let's finish up because I want to try to knock out this Q&A. We got our guys in here tonight. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. Very, very much appreciative. Call of Duty Black Ops 4, no single player, straight multiplayer, $60 title.
What did you just say?
I'm not sure what he's talking about. There is no Black Ops 4. There is Call of Duty Black Ops 1. I refuse to acknowledge that the lack of Roman numerals, the absolute failure.
Yeah, it is a bunch of ones. Listen, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 has been revealed. The game looks slightly interesting. Multiplayer only, possibly having some sort of Royal Rumble feature, but mostly all of the other game modes for $60. Is Call of Duty, regardless of the franchise, worth $60 with a multiplayer only game?
Well,
yes,
you got to look at it like this, man. They're partners on the other side. You know what I mean? The tag team partners, Blizzard, they did the same thing.
Yep, Overwatch didn't
That's
do
true.
the campaign.
That is true.
And not just that, it doesn't even. There's two things I want to say about the Black Ops 1 issue. The first one being, say what you will about Call of Duty and how Call of Duty's gone to crap lately. They make sure there's content in those games.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could, I've seen when Black Ops 2 came out, they had put in like the zombies mode itself was robust enough. If they sold that as a $30 game, I would have bought it. Like it was interesting enough to warrant a $30 purchase. And the multiplayer was excellent, and the campaign was great too. So it actually justified its price well over. It was worth more than $60 in terms of content. But like even this one, like even if you don't like Call of Duty, doesn't matter. It's still worth $60. Like if they continue with the level of content care that they put in there, they'll be fine. And the other thing too, I love how they threw out their justification saying, "Well, only 5% of people who have played Black Ops 3 actually played the campaign." It's like maybe it was the fact the campaign was garbage. Like it was one of the worst campaigns I've ever played.
Frozen Forest? Nope.
Just
before we head out of here, Halo Fireteam Raven. Give me your thoughts on that. Is it a problem? I've seen some people go on and on about Microsoft, and they can't believe that they produce an arcade machine and it's going to be at Dave and Buster's. People were crying about the Inside Xbox episode. I had came up with some new rules for Microsoft and talked a little bit about that. But what is your thoughts on the Halo Fireteam Raven arcade machine that you'll be able now to play Halo at Dave and Buster's and other arcade places in the future?
Man, I'm not going to lie. It looks awesome. Actually had me thinking about going to an arcade for the first time in years.
Okay. That's one way. That's a solid thought.
I mean, I guess we should be mad about a lot of games because you guys haven't gone to Dave and Buster's, dude. They got tons of games in there.
They definitely do.
Mario, lots of
Mario
Nintendo
Kart,
games.
Right? Mario Kart was in there.
They got Mario Kart in there. They had what was the game? I haven't been to an arcade in a long time. The last time was at a Dave and Buster's, but before that, it was when I was in France. So. And they're way bigger on the arcade front than we are. Like, tons of new games were coming out. Like there's the new Resident Evil at the time. I think it was 5 had an arcade game there. Ghost Recon, and what else is there? There's tons of games out there that once they hit the arcade circuit, they're still putting those games out there. So I mean, I don't understand why people are made up in arms about it. I mean, tons of games. Like I guarantee you, Overwatch will be in arcade at one point.
Right. Listen, man, I don't really look at. I just look at it as another avenue for Microsoft to make money. It's an arcade machine. It's not a big deal. They're spreading more Halo out there to a bunch of people, and I think that people will get an opportunity to play Halo, and maybe it may appeal to them, and maybe they want to go home and buy the actual game and play it, though it may be different. I think that's a solid attempt for Microsoft. I don't think it took much for them to put a small little Halo campaign together and throw it in a box and give it out there to David Buses and arcade machines, I guess.
Yeah, what, like an hour-long campaign, maybe?
Yeah,
maybe.
It's really a big overreaction. I don't think the fans should be upset about that at all, and I don't see any money or resources being wasted for that little arcade machine. That's mainly it, man. So listen, we're gonna go ahead in tonight's show. We'll be back next week, Saturday, with another episode of the Premier Podcast for Xbox, Tick Podcast. And we'll discuss our E3 predictions. We also will have a Q&A coming up right after. So if you guys have any questions, any things you want to say to us, any jokes, any disses, go ahead and put it out there now. Make sure you put a question mark on questions so we can catch it and read it. And we'll do our best to answer your questions on tonight's episode. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the Iron Lord podcast as well. Multiverse on Mondays, and keep an eye out for 2XP that is uploaded to here weekly. We also want to give a big shout out to our affiliate teams. We have now new affiliate teams that's a part of the Tick organization. BRAP, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast with B Money and Crew. I don't want to say B Money and Crew because it's not B Money's show. I don't want to offend Enrique in any way, but shout out to Enrique, B Money, and E Jackson, the guys over there. Big shout out to Game Perspective with our guy Samuel Tolbert and Nick Undead, who was on Multiverse. Big shout out to Stinker NLG with the NLG podcast. Those guys over there are part of the affiliate as well. And big shout out to Carlo and what's his face? The
Mike.
Yes,
Mike Inferno.
Inferno. Thank you. Big shout out to Carlo and Inferno over at Four Guys with Quarters, all now a part of the Inner Circle affiliate team. So we will definitely be promoting those guys and supporting them and taking some highlights from them. You'll start to see some of those episodes on here. Not all of them, but just the highlighted ones and the best ones that we can find. We'll post to the feed and channel as well. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's end the show for the MP3 crowd. I am actually uploading a ton of MP3s over the next couple of days, and the new site it's live, but we will be promoting it very soon. I don't have it attached to any of the social feeds, so when you're looking for new content, it's not hitting, but it will be soon, and you can get back to getting that good news from the Tick Games Network website. So listen, that's going to be it for tonight's show. I'm your host, Kara SKL, with Anchorman V, B Money 101, and Direwolf 484. And we'll be back next week. And we're out of here. We're off this planet. You guys have a great night. Peace. All right. So go ahead, leave your questions. We'll see if we can answer them. My son seems to have come downstairs, stolen my bag of Doritos, and runs back up the stairs. He climbed. Those bag of Doritos was on the top shelf, the top shelf of my pantry, and he went in there and climbed it. I keep telling him stop climbing it because he's getting bigger, and one day his weight is going to pull those racks out of that pantry, and he's going to fall and bust his butt.
Metal Gear Solid 6 Dorito Eater.
Yeah, he's definitely. Gotcha. Let's see here. All right, so let's go ahead and stop some of these questions. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to everybody that stopped in. Really appreciate it. TF God, D21, Micaiah. Shout out to the bro, Micaiah, Chief Tommy. Thank you, brother. Mac of all 10. Thank you, brother, for stopping out as well. There's a few people I missed. Fastback. Big shout out to Fastback. T-Man Fu, big shout out to T-Man stopping in tonight. Mellow Hawk, thank you for stopping out as well. Eante, Delilah, a few others I probably missed earlier, Fame and a few other people earlier. So I want to thank you guys for stopping out as always. Let's get to some of these questions. First question on deck is, let's see, D21 exclusive asks, do you think Microsoft knew State of Decay 2 was bad and purposefully put it close to E3 because they know more games are coming?
I think it's more like, in my opinion anyways, they wanted a big game on Game Pass every 2 months, so people aren't going to unsubscribe, and then they just weren't willing to give it the extra time, polish, budget, whatever it was, to make sure these bugs weren't in there when it went live. So I think they didn't care is a bit of a strong phrase, but they didn't care enough. I'll say that. They needed to get it fixed up more.
Right. I don't know, man. I don't want to say that Microsoft did that. That's kind of shady. Just know you got a game that's sort of partially have some brokenness to it, and you put it out because you knew that E3 would make everything go away, but it doesn't. So I don't think they did that at all. I just think Microsoft felt it was time to put the game out. It was quality enough. And I think that's what a lot of developers do. I think publishers look at that they can't continue to have a game in production because it's probably going over budget. If the game playable, put it out and we'll fix it as we go. And that's unfortunate because that is something that a lot of studios have been doing lately. Selling you a product that may be playable, may be good, but has a lot of issues and at the wrong times. You know, you might be missing the item. You may crash out of the game. You may, miss a save point. You got to do something all over again. And it's very frustrating spending X amount of money on that project and then having to then turn around and have all these bugs and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. Let's see here. Let me see. Delilah HD asks, State of Decay is bad. Wow, I guess my game is different. I'm not saying the State of Decay is bad. I'm saying State of Decay, I think it's a pretty good game. I just don't know if obviously the bugs have had an impact on the title for a lot of people, and hopefully they're able to fix it. I don't think it's a bad game by any means. I haven't played it personally, but I know that Undead Labs is a quality studio. I just think that lately Microsoft's quality control has not been on par with what they normally produce, and B Money as well also agrees that they definitely need to maybe put more effort in quality control when it comes to their titles going forward. Let's see. Wills, shout out to Wills. Will stepped in. Will steps up. It says, with Armature looking to be an unlikely developer for Recore 2, what studio do you guys see Microsoft contracting to the sequel?
Just give it to Rare.
Give it to Rare? Okay.
Give it to Rare. Let them cook.
That's cool.
They had something special with Cameo, and I think they could bring that same magic to what Recore was. At its core, Recore was a very simplistic game, and I think Rare could kind of throw a little something on there to kind of make it feel a little bit more special.
Also, artistic style.
Yeah, very marketable.
I went back and touched up on Recore a little bit, and like, I love the concept behind it. I'm enamored with the whole aesthetic, but the actual graphics in terms of character models and stuff is kind of lacking. I feel like Rare could have a good contributing factor to it. I think they could definitely help.
Yeah, Rare's one. I think they'd be pretty good. I'll give you someone else. If Rare didn't want to do it or they're working on something else, maybe after Ori and the Will of the Wisp, give it to Moon Studios.
There's an idea.
Let them move to a 3D, more 3D game.
Recore needs a lot of work. I played the game. It needs a lot of work. The potential is there, but a lot of things need to change with the game for it to honestly be truly a successful title in a big successful franchise. Enemy variety has to change. Being able to use your bots at the same time needs to change. Making it based on dungeons needs to change. There's just a lot of things with the game that I think, in order for it to be more appealing and more story driven, a lot of things need to change. Get rid of the deep, I'm tired of these games that have all this lore that's readable. All this backstory that you have to find these little voice recordings and these little messages, and that's kind of cool. But after a while, 75 of them, that's too much. 25 voice record, it's just too much, bro. Put the story in the game. You know what I'm saying? Let's play the actual game. Let's learn the story through the game. Give us the backstory through the game, and let us discover as we unlock as we go. It's not to say that Recore can't be good, but after getting midway through the game, I completely lost interest and could no longer play the game. Let's see here. TF God asks, how probable is a free online E3 announcement? What effect do you think it would have, and would that be enough?
Wait, free E3 online or free online?
No, free online. For E3. Free online for E3 announcement.
All right.
I just want to say,
I was going to say, dude, E3 is already free online.
Not anymore. For the low price of just $1.99, you'll be able to stream. No.
I think that Microsoft will never, ever let Xbox Live go free.
Does anybody read the quarter earnings report?
What?
Does anybody read the quarter earnings reports?
I do.
No, Microsoft is not giving you Xbox Live for free.
They will never give Live for free.
Not throwing billions of dollars out the window.
That's called keeping the Xbox division in the black no matter what.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario. Now, I said this earlier, and I'll say this again. I do see them offering a merger of Game Pass and Xbox Live Gold in a very, very nice, compelling package. I do absolutely see that happening. Just like a combined great discount where it's like if you have even a slight interest in either subscription, it'll make it very affordable for you to grab the two of them together. I do see that happening. Yes.
Yeah, I could definitely.
What if they said okay, because it is $10 each per month technically. What if they offered it for $15? You get both. $15 a month.
That's not enough. That's not enough.
That's pretty good. Because if it's $15 a month, just like Gold is $10 a month, then theoretically there would be a yearly option or a 6-month option that's even cheaper, right? So yeah.
Like if you came out and said, okay, for Xbox Live and this package is $100 a year, like you shave off $20.
Well, you're shaving off more than $20. If Gold,
well, you
Gold
say
is
90, I guess.
Look, if Gold is $60. Yeah, that's a lot. Microsoft ain't giving that up. They're not gonna give up that much. 130, 130 or 120 sounds more realistic.
That's hard to sell, dude. If you're telling people for a subscription.
But here's the thing, though.
That's why PS Now's having trouble.
But here's the thing, though. You're talking about selling two products. Like, think about this. Live is $60 by itself. Game Pass is $120 for the year. That is already $180.
We're not dealing with rational people, though, dude. There's why they haven't come out with a yearly option for Games Pass? Because if you come out and say $120 a month, people are gonna be like, "What? I'm not spending $120 on no stupid."
Yep, it's just,
no game subscription. Sense. But if you say $10 a month, people are like, "Ooh, $10 a month. I can cut out at any time."
Oh, Microsoft will be taking massive losses, bro. You're talking about 100 games and you're swapping out every month, and then you're trying to get other titles on there. There's no way you can sustain that at that amount.
What I'm telling you, though, is like they can't come out and outright say, all right, here's what it's going to be. It's going to be $120 a month. People are going to freak out about that. But if they came out and just said $100 or $99 for a year.
The game card at the store has to say $99 on it. You know what I mean? If it's over 100, people are just ignoring it.
For a subscription. Yeah.
Yep.
You might as well make Xbox Live free.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do it.
Xbox Live free. I just don't. They're gonna put all that money's not going to Live. Like all that money has to go to Game Pass. I just don't see how you could sustain Game Pass at that rate plus Xbox Live.
But what if it's made up for the fact that people who wouldn't have been getting Game Pass otherwise, people who are subscribed to Live but are on the fence, are going to pick up on it and say, well, it's not that much extra, but that's additional revenue they weren't getting before.
I
would love to see
Games Pass, dude.
That just improves their engagement numbers too. You know what
exactly. I mean? Like, and they're all about their engagement numbers. And I mean, rightfully so, because heck, if the people are playing the game, then they're playing the game. So
I don't know, man. We'll see.
Like, that's what we were saying earlier. Like that is how Games Pass works. They literally sat down there and they said, okay, how many games are people buying on average? Okay, maybe 2 or 3 a year. Okay, well, what about those games that people were interested in, but they were like, I only spend $100 a year on buying a new game. Like, how do we get those extra people? And so they say, okay, people who wouldn't have bought the game, we're at least making something off of them now. Like, so you're making an extra $10 a month off these other guys playing old games and stuff like that. And so that's how they make their money back. And so, again, you have a situation where, okay, let's look at it now. If you were to go out and go buy Games Pass, they give you gold for free. Like, the last 2 months they've been doing that. You go out, buy Games Pass, you get gold for free.
Yeah, I think that the only trouble with them lowering the price is the cut that they have to pay to get like newer games in there. Because the biggest problem right now is that there's only like exclusives and like some indie games hitting Game Pass. But what you really want to see is that big third-party game.
Right, like Shadow of the Tomb Raider or something.
So if Shadow of the Tomb Raider or like Anthem or like games that come out, big games like that come out and hit the platform day one, that's what you really want to see. And if they could get to that point, that'd be great. But if you lower the price, it makes it a little harder to kind of negotiate what you're going to spend on that developer to have them put that game into Game Pass.
It does, except by all accounts, according to industry analysts like Matt Piscatella, Game Pass is improving the sales of games.
Oh, I definitely believe that.
So I'm wondering if they could use that, as leverage in the negotiations or things like that. It's the same situations like game sharing. Publishers have come to them before, time and time again. They've said, hey, game sharing technically isn't allowed. Like, technically, you're not supposed to do this. And Microsoft has said, yes, but we have data that proves it's skyrocketing your game sales. So
we'll see. We will definitely see at E3 what they come up with. That is definitely.
I think one thing is they definitely get it. They should change Games with Gold. Like, Games with Gold is going to be Games Pass. Because not just that. Like, okay, because the way things are set up now, if you let your gold lapse, your games that you got from Games Pass still work. Well, I think that's right. Not Games Pass, but your games you got from Games with Gold.
Yeah, games with gold won't work. You have to have gold in order for the games to work.
Yeah. And so that's the thing, though. But if you clear that out and just say it's part of Games Pass, and especially because you're not paying anything extra to get it, like those 2 games or 2 to 4 games for that service, you're clearing that out too. You're saving a little revenue. Like, you could make it work. Yeah. If you basically just reappropriate it.
Okay. All right, so let's move forward. Let's try to get through these quickly. Try to get out of here in the next 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Chief Tommy asks, does the controversy behind Detroit become a bot bother you? If true, will you buy? I have no idea what's going on with.
Is this still about the David Cage thing in the workplace?
He's referencing that whole thing. Yep.
I just want to make sure that's still what we're talking about. Unless something else came out that I didn't know about.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
That particular controversy is not the reason why I'm not buying the game. The reason I'm buying the game is because it's a David Cage game, and I'm not playing a movie.
Gotcha. Patman Jones Effect says, what one game could and that you would want Xbox to reveal at E3 that would be a mic drop for the rest of the generation?
You just asked this question. I asked this question earlier in the show, but nobody
yeah.
wanted to answer it because I don't know.
I mean, for Microsoft, for me, it would be anything nicer to Old Republic or Lost Odyssey. anything from Miss Walker or a major RPG from Sega from
Or
back
Alan
in the
Wake,
Dreamcast days. I'm not an Alan Wake fan.
Yeah,
Alan Wake.
I mean, the big thing for me is they gotta prove that, like, okay, all these new IPs we worked on, like, this generation, aren't just like we were blowing smoke. Like, these aren't coming back. Like, if they Sunset Overdrive is probably the bigger one to me. I think that out of all the games that Microsoft came out with this generation as actual exclusives, Sunset Overdrive is probably the best. And I would like them to. I like to see them actually try and bring a sequel.
Fastback 24/7 asks, what do you guys think Rare has in development next?
Probably some little tribute game. That's what I feel. You know, like a Banjo kind of thing, or I don't know, not like a Conquer, but something people have already heard of, and they're like, "Hey, look, it's back."
Yeah,
like just so they back to the roots a little bit.
Maybe a new cameo.
Probably a platformer or something like that. It's got definitely probably going back to the roots. And I wouldn't mind them going back to some of those games that we saw on 360, like Cameo or Banjo. Even Vivid Pinata, I think, was a pretty solid game. But it's kind of hard to say. But I think they definitely go platformer because I think that's what they've always done best.
Big shout out to Chief Tommy for the donation. Definitely appreciate it, bro. Definitely appreciate the donation. Delilah says, I swear Tick be OG Xbox pipe dreaming. Yeah, well, I mean, that was the best era, man. What you want from me, Delilah?
He does. He's proud of it. He's puffing.
You know what I'm saying? Like 360 OG Xbox was they had the best games, man. I ain't getting that like that this generation. So I don't know what you want me to do about that. I think they had some really good games this gen. I think Ori and the Blind Forest is great. I think that's a nice, great game. I think Forza Horizon 3 is a classic. It's one of like the few games I can say is going to be a classic for a very long time. But overall, man, the games have been good, but they haven't been like the 360 era, and they haven't been like the OG Xbox era. So I'm just keeping it 100. It'd be great if they can get back to it. That's why I talk about it so much, because those are the games that I fell in love with Xbox about. But I mean, it is what it is, man. The only thing I can do is just keep hoping that they hear us. The guys do listen to the show. When I chat with them, they do say they listen. I don't know how often they listen, but I do appreciate them listening. And we cool. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything that's not realistic. I'm just saying that if Microsoft want to get their act together, these are the things that they should be doing. I know if I was in charge, this is what I would be doing.
Do you guys think they ever go back to trying to snatch third-party exclusives?
I have no idea. I doubt it.
Okay, that's tough. Okay, so I'm going to say yes, but I think it's more selective. I think maybe like the launch of next gen, for example. Maybe. Big maybe.
Yeah.
I definitely think it can happen, especially if, everything we've heard about Terry Myerson blocking the budget being true, and now he's gone, so they've got, room to breathe and stuff like that. I definitely think we could see at least one in the next couple of years. One decent sized one.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I really don't know what they're gonna do anymore. I mean, I like the fact that they're not doing any like major third party stuff, but at the same time, like we know how these things go.
All the games that we talked about like were super amazing, from like OG to 360. They were all third party games or second party games. Like we had the Gears, we had the Halo, but like Knights of the Old Republic, that's a third-party game. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like Jade Empire was a third-party game. Like all these amazing games that we, relate to Xbox, a lot of them were big third-party games.
They were.
They just happened to be exclusive, like the BioShocks. Like people fell in love with Mass Effect. You know what I mean? I think, like if Anthem was exclusive, like that would be amazing. You know what I mean? So I just wonder if they would ever, try to go back to that, because I think, that kind of helped them have an identity back then. And right now you don't really know.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, especially if it's going to take some time for them to grow their new studios, to build their new stuff, to build their new IPs internally and all that, or set first party or second party. You know what? Sling some checks. get something happening there. Which again, I think that makes the most sense for the launch of next gen. I think they know this gen is cooked. It's done for. So save that to make an impression like 2020/2021.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think you guys are right. There's no point in wasting the money, at least on this one. But I could totally see them doing that.
Yeah.
I could see them like going back on it, and like especially because like okay, this generation Phil's really tried not to do it, and then just all of a sudden when the next gen comes, like especially if the feeling I get is they're gonna let Sony go first too.
Yeah,
they're gonna let Sony go first and do 1 year head start in terms of their console, and then Microsoft's gonna come out the next year, and they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, oh well, you have all those like oh you guys were first, you started the generation, sure, we got the more powerful system, and we money had at all these games. You go right ahead."
Yeah.
Right. Well, all right, man. Looks like we're gonna have to wrap this up apparently, because these kids don't want to go to sleep, man. I want to thank everybody for stopping out for tonight's show, asking questions, and hanging out with the squad. All right, 1 second. She should be sleeping. I don't know why she's up. My wife just dumped on me. She's like, the show's going on too long. But hey, we haven't done the show in weeks, so it is what it is. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Tick Podcast, premier podcast for Xbox, selling pipe dreams as T.O. God.
That's kinds of dreams.
HD, has been saying. We'll see what happens, man. E3 is right around the corner. I'm very excited about what Microsoft might possibly present. Obviously, it's not ideal for them to be in this position, but they really are, put themselves in a spot where they really have to show some really good stuff going forward, or they're going to be looked at negatively for a very long time over the course of the rest of the year going forward. So that's it, man. I'm your host, Kara SKL, the last son of Planet Xbox, where Anchorman V, B Money 101, and Direwolf 484, and we will see you guys next week. I'm out of here. Peace.